And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Howdy folks, today we're taking a look at a game called Waggle Dance. Let's do the Waggle Dance. This is actually a real terminology about bees, telling other bees to go and come find honey. This is a game about bees. What a great theme. Really, no irony there. I like when people explore new and unusual themes, and this has some pretty funky looking artwork on it, and so it has lots of dice inside, so please be good. It's a worker placement game. Let's go buzz and find. Okay, I'm not even gonna do a pun. Let's just check out the game. So here's the board. What players are going to each start with? They're going to start with 3 hexagons here of a beehive, and your goal is to get a certain number of these hexagons turned over onto the honey side. So like for a short game, you'd play that you get 5 of them turned over into a beehive. Maybe if you're playing a long game, 9 of them. Players are also going to start with 6 dice of their color. The dice are really sharp looking dice. You'll notice that the 1 has been replaced by a bee, but not only that, the dice pips themselves are little hexagons. These are really sharp, cool-looking dice. Now, players, at the beginning of each phase, there's going to be a daytime and a nighttime. During the daytime, players are going to roll their 6 dice, and they're going to then, in turn order, start placing these dice on the board. Now, you can place a die on a card, or you can place it on one of your hexagons in your area. When you place a die onto one of these flower plants in the middle, you simply place it on the number that you rolled. So 2s would go here, 3s would go here. When you place it on one of these other cards over here, you can place it on any available number. So if I put a 2 here on this card, I can activate this card later on, but no one else can place a 2 on this one. The 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are still available. So everyone's going to do that until finally all the dice are placed. Then we go to nighttime phase. We then start with this card over here, and the cards are labeled on the back A through F, so you remember what order to put them in, and you just go through them. For each B you put here, you'll add another hexagon to your tile. It doesn't really matter how you add them, because the location of them in the hive doesn't matter. I mean, they could really be like this, game purpose-wise, but it looks cool anyway, so you add another hex to your tile. For each die that you place here, you're going to add an egg to one of the hexagons in your tile. Now you notice I skipped this card. That's because this card actually matters. You need an egg. If you have an egg in your colony and you have a pair of dice placed on it during this phase, then that egg will hatch and you will get another die from the supply. And as you can see, there is a ton of extra dice. So the next area are the flowers. Whoever has the most on a specific flower, let's say blue has 2 dice here on the 2s, so blue would take 2 orange cubes. They must take these cubes and place them on one of their tiles. Tiles can hold a maximum of 4 cubes. Second place would get 1 cube, so yellow would get 1 cube. And you'll do that for each of the flowers. Then we go over here, and each of the players who has placed one here, oh, I have these actually in the wrong order. That's G. Each of the people who has a flower placed here, a bee placed here, can trade 2 cubes of the same color from one of their hexes for another cube, or they can trade an egg in for a cube. A lot of jokes about selling bee babies was made here. And then the next one, if you have 2 dice of the same color on one of your hexes, so let's say I have 4 orange cubes here, and I have 2 dice of the same number on them, I can get rid of all 4 of those cubes and turn this one over to yellow. All 4 have to be the same color. So you'll probably have to use that trading or do whatever you can to get 4 of the same color on a hex and then 2 bees with the same number. And then finally the last one here, which is G, anybody who puts one here is going to draw a queen bee card. Now queen bee cards can be played. It tells you whether to play them at night or during the day. For example, this one here says I can have 2 different, any 2 numbers I can place out. They don't have to be the same number to change something into honey or to have another baby. This one here says any 2, I only need 3 cubes of the same color to turn something into honey. This one here says I can place 2 dice out when it's my turn, or I can pass and not place any dice out. Here, when I get cubes, I can play this card to get an extra cube of that color. Here, I need 2 cubes from 2 different colors and turn them into honey. Here, I can draw 3 cards off the deck and choose one of my choice. Here, I can get rid of one of my opponent's dice for a round, and that die just doesn't work that round. And so there's all sorts of different cards. There's even a card that allows you, this card here, it gives you a big white die who works for you for 1 round. A temporary scab bee, I guess. So anyway, then you just go to the next round. You will continue doing this until one player has turned all their hexagons into honey, or the number that you need to, 5, 7, 9, and that person's the winner. Hey, good news, boys and girls. Waggle Dance is a very good game. Waggle Dance is a worker placement game, and there are lots of extra workers that you can get. I think there was 3, 6, 9, 12. You start with 6, and you can get 12 more dice. You could have 18 workers. So I love games where you can get tons of workers, and you can like multiply them if you want. Get lots of eggs and start hatching those. Now the game plays very differently with 2, 3, or 4. Although with 3 or 4, you're going to have some dice that will block out different areas so that the board still feels tight and tough as it goes by. But this is really interesting. I mean, you want to build your honeycomb, you want to get eggs to get more workers, but you also want to get in there, get that nectar, and start changing your tiles into honey. And you do not want to neglect the queen bee cards. Now, let me talk about the queen bee cards. They're great. I love cards that do cool things, and they are very easy to incorporate and use. There's 2 cards. One lets you take someone else's bee out of contention. Now, since you have so many workers in this game, that's not a big deal, but some people don't like confrontation. But that's like the only confrontation in the game. There's the other one I don't like, and both these are minor, but where you play a card that lets you draw 3 cards and pick one of your choice. I always find that silly because that card's like getting a jackpot in a sense. Like, ooh, instead of getting 1 card, I get 3 and get 1. Why? Because I just drew the right card. So those are minor little things. Other than that, though, the components, like I said, these dice are incredible. The honeycomb tiles have different shadings on them. You may not have been able to see it on the camera. And turning them over to honey, it just has a good visual effect. The cards, everything. The only thing with the presentation is the orange and red cubes in bad lighting can be very easily, it'd be easy to tell them. It'd be hard to tell them apart, I think. At least we found that when we were playing not in good lighting. But other than that, great. Solid, easy worker placement, lots of workers. You feel like you can do lots of different things. You're just trying to do it more efficiently than other people. Sure, you are hampered by what you roll on the dice, but the cards help you mitigate that somewhat. But also, if you roll numbers that you don't need, you have to look at and see, okay, I have these bunch of 3s. I don't really want the pink flower, which is the 3s, so I'm going to place that, and this will be the turn I'm going to build up my honey, and then you're also watching what other players are doing. Okay, he has some 4s, so is he going to go for the white flower, or is he going to place them in other spots? And you're placing one die at a time, watching everybody else, hoping they don't block you, so that you don't want any dice that you can't do anything with at the end. A good game, very solid little box here that holds this. If you like worker placement games, if you like dice, if you like the theme of bees, I think all of those are included in this game. Very impressive here. Waggle Dance. Dice Tower Judgment. Approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.